Decisions are continuous. You do not always know when you are making them. The reason this is so is the unconscious mind, that when we have decisions that we've already made, but they're out of awareness, they're pushed out of awareness, those decisions go by a different name than decisions. Decisions are conclusions, and decisions actually, when they're pushed out of awareness, are beliefs. But with a little practice, the ones you recognize, a set begins to form which sees you through the rest. It is not wise to let yourself become preoccupied with every step you take. The proper set, adopted consciously each time you wake, will put you well ahead. And if you find resistance strong and dedication weak, you are not ready. Do not fight yourself. Isn't that wonderful? Jesus is telling us to be gentle with ourselves, even when we have resistance to the guidance. But think about the kind of day you want and tell yourself there is a way in which this very day can happen just like that. So this is helpful for all of us in the sense it's very proactive. You start off the day just thinking about the kind of day that you want. Try again to have the day that you want. The outlook starts with this: today I will make no decisions by myself. And it is important to realize, he says, this means that you are choosing not to be the judge of what to do. But it must also mean you will not judge the situations where you will be called upon to make response. For if you judge them, you have set the rules for how you should react to them. And then another answer cannot but produce confusion and uncertainty and fear. So when you make up your mind already and then you hear a prompt from the Holy Spirit, this is where the confusion comes in. This leads to fear because it contradicts what you perceive, and so you feel attacked. One of the prayers that I always liked the most was, Holy Spirit, decide for God for me. When I'm in that place of humbleness and humility, then not surprisingly, the day flows amazingly and beautifully. And when there is a sense of agenda coming in, then that's where the struggles start. As soon as that agenda gets activated. There are rules by which this will not happen, but it does occur at first while you are learning how to hear. Throughout the day, at any time you think of it and have a quiet moment of reflection, tell yourself again the kind of day you want, the feeling you would have, the things you want to happen to you, and the things you would experience. And say, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. So what he's saying here is if you want to drop down toward the holy instant and really embrace it, you need to practice and be habitually in the state of mind of, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. As we go on, I'm going to drop down a little bit to some of the key highlights of these, because basically, if you stay with the first two aspects of the rules for decision, you will stay in the simplicity of the rules for decision. And it's almost like instead of trying to follow the 10 commandments, if you go, oh, I remember the first two, they're pretty important. If I could just keep loving God and loving my neighbor as myself, I think I'd do pretty good. Even if I forget the other 8, I'll do pretty good with those first 2. It's the same with the rules for decision. If you can just remember the first 2, and you're not even concerned about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you can remember the first 2. And what are those 2 things? Remember, decide the kind of day that you want. That's pretty simple. Just decide the kind of day you want. That's number 1. And just remember number 2. Always remember number 2, because that's how you're going to do it. That's how you're going to achieve it, is the means is in number 2. Decide that if I make no decisions by myself, This is the day that will be given me, guaranteed. And you aren't going to make any decisions by yourself. You're going to be very prayerful, receptive. It's too important for me to be happy. I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to interfere with this. It's too important. And those are the 1, 2, that's the procedure. Those are the most important things to remember. And then, briefly, if you seem to slip off of the number 1 and 2 and you forget that, then you have a way to kind of come back, a restorative, and that is what number 3 is all about. This is like your corrective device. And you know that if you've slipped off the beam somehow and you're not having a happy day or a joyful day and you don't feel really good, then you must have made a decision by yourself. You must have said, no, I'm taking over the reins here. I'm taking these reins back. I'm going to make the decision on my own. That's not going to bring the peaceful, loving, joyful, happy day. Here's your restorative, though. I have no question. I forgot what to decide. And what this means is you quickly are going to come back into alignment, not by trying to ask a question by yourself, but to come back to, this is the kind of day that I want, and I won't make any decisions by myself. As soon as we start to question, we start to analyze, we start to prioritize, we start to fix, we start to try to figure out, we've gone off the path. And now we need help. And this is the solution very quickly is I have no question. I forgot what to decide. And to make it simple for you, I can tell you what the ego's question is that's got you all stirred up. I can give you the secret of what's underneath all those questions that the ego asks to sabotage your happy day. The question that's underneath all of the ego's many questions is this: of these illusions, which do I prefer? That's what's the killer underneath. As long as you keep looking outside and trying to pick among the illusions and say, which of these illusions do I prefer? Which of these illusions will bring me a happy day? You know what the answer is? 0. There's not a single illusion that will bring you a happy day, but the ego doesn't want you to know that. It wants you to keep chasing like a cat, chasing its tail. And that's where people kind of fall off the alignment without even knowing. They think it's like that Paul Simon song, Slip Sliding Away. The nearer your destination, the more you're slip sliding away. The nearer your destination, if your destination is an illusion, an outcome of this world, and you're pursuing this outcome, you are slip sliding away from your real purpose of forgiveness. You are slip sliding away from your happiness, from your peace of mind and your joy. These are like really prime lessons that you are drawing forth here from Rules for Decisions, because if you really practice this and you understand how the ego is trying to sabotage you and have you not have a happy day, you're going to get wise. You're actually going to get wise to this when it tries to trick you and lead you off into being right about something. Those are all the ways that the ego tricks you. And then it also tells you that if you're not able to just say, I have no question, I forgot what to decide, the next thing, you have to kind of pave your way to get back to the alignment. And once you have decided you don't like the way that you feel, what could be easier to continue with? And so I hope I have been wrong. So that's a beautiful restorative. Jesus has given you the way to zoom back into your right mind. You follow that up with, I want another way to look at this. Even if you're still resisting and you still are pretty sure you'd rather be right, that's like a crack in the mind for a beam of light to come through. And then finally, number 7 is, perhaps there is another way to look at this. What can I lose by asking? Because the Bible said, don't go to bed angry. And the way that you don't go to bed angry is to have this crack of willingness to say, I hope I've been wrong. I would be better off if I was wrong, and perhaps there is another way to look at this. What can I lose by asking? So those are, it's kind of a brief summary, those rules for decision. And what I could say to you is, if you practice these rules for decisions, you're going to find that it's going to get easier and easier to have a happy day, because the more surrendered you become, the more in service you become, the more devotional to God you become, you'll be carried down a quiet path in summer. It's as easy and as right as breathing, Jesus says. But it does take the willingness and the faith to keep going in this direction, because the ego oftentimes doesn't want to give up so easy. It's like, not so fast. You're not getting out of my grip so fast. But if you're persistent and you keep practicing and you keep remembering how worthy you are of love and that you are love, then that's just going to strengthen that in your mind every single time you're able to do that.